Welcome to Review Rewind, the show where a couple of friends watch movies of old and aim to figure out if the reviewers were spot on or a little off. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Tristan.
And this week, we're talking about... fudge, I didn't do it again. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Like a freaking idiot.
What happened?
All right, a little... It's 2 words. And I spelled reckoning wrong. Man, this is rough. Little how the sausage gets made. So I write all the scripts on a certain document page from a certain search website. You know, Bing. And
Bing documents.
And I just make a copy of the previous one because it has most of the stuff I want. I just have to change out a few things. And it seems every time I do it, I just absolutely forget to do the title. No matter what, I think every single time I've forgotten to do the title. Also, if you guys can tell, I've got some like gnarly allergies or something going on, so I'm congested. Tristan, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. My sinuses seem clear. Smell that beautiful bean footage. I don't know.
I can't smell anything.
Really, I don't know.
You're really rubbing it in.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I made a reference to the baked beans commercial. But I
thought you were just making fun of English people. Because who gives a crap about that? Alrighty. So, again, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, produced by T. Cruz. He doesn't really. No, that doesn't flow well. I'm trying. TC, I guess you can call him TC. He doesn't really have like a big movie nickname. You know how you'd assume there'd be one, but it's not really there. Oh, weird. So, produced by Tom Cruise, Christopher McQuarrie, and Les Feux de Dagfinson. I don't know if that's right. Yeah.
We'll blame that on the nose situation.
Les Feux. Screenwritten by Christopher McQuarrie and Eric Jenderson. Distributed by Paramount Pictures. Produced by... Oh, so this is the first one in a while that Bad Robot. So J.J. Abrams was not a part of this, at least in this production side of it.
I didn't notice that in the credits.
Production companies was Paramount Pictures, Skydance, and Tom Cruise Production. I should have read into this more. I'm sure I think this might be like... it might be like his first big production really, really on his own. But I'm assuming. And you know what they say about assuming.
Yeah, sometimes it's not right.
Shoot. You got me. Rated PG for intense sequences of violence, action, some language. Suggestive.
PG-13. You said PG. This is for only teenagers and up.
Apparently, my allergies are affecting my reading comprehension and ability. Genre is action, adventure, mystery, and thriller. It was released July 12th, 2023. So just about a year ago. It had a budget of almost $300 million. In the U.S. and Canada, it grossed $172 million, and worldwide, it grossed almost $568 million. So, while objectively a financial success, on scope of cost and profit, it not as big a gap as the previous ones.
Right.
They spent a lot. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is almost $100 million more than the previous one.
In the budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
which is kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
I think this one has the largest budget.
I think the pandemic had a lot to do with some of the issues at hand. But
Yeah, because this is the first one. This one was supposed to release sooner, but then the pandemic happened and delayed all of it. And so I think that's also showing up in like the gross, how much it made, because it's post-pandemic. People aren't going to the theater as much as they used to.
I think Deadpool and Wolverine might be. It's not done yet as far as grossing, but I think this one might be the first movie in a while that has had such a positive movie theater reaction than the previous movies, because I think that is very true, that 568 million, even though it's quite a bit, could be very reflective of post-pandemic moviegoership, because even July 2023 was still not quite there as far as what people were doing, and I don't think we still are even a year later. I don't think we're doing as well as we used to do, but that may change. Who knows?
Yeah,
Go
for comparison, I pulled up Fallout, and its budget was 178. So about 100 million less, and its gross worldwide was 791 million.
Yeah.
So there definitely is
scale much grander.
Yeah.
So, starring Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Esai Morales, I think that's right. Palm Klementieff, was that Teef or Tafe? I think it's Teef.
Klementieff. Yeah, I think it's
Tieff. Teef.
Yeah.
Mariela, Garriga, man, they're just killing me. Henry, Czerny. Remember that guy? Who?
Oh, why is her name so high on the credits? She's in a flashback.
That's what I thought too.
That's crazy.
When I was gathering information, her face was, one of the first 5 in each one of the websites, and I was genuinely had a moment of like, I don't remember her.
Who's that? Yeah. Hopefully she shows up in the next one so we get a little bit more story on her.
How is she going to show up? She's dead.
I know, but maybe they're going to give us. What if they're going to give us more backstory instead of just flashbacks? They'll tell us like, this is what happened.
What if
we're getting ahead of ourselves? But
what if she was kept alive by the entity?
Yeah,
that didn't exist when she was shot.
You never know. What if it was all a lie?
The video was just blessed by me wiping my face like a monster. All right, I'm not doing great. All right.
You're doing great.
No, I'm doing recap. That's called transitions, baby. All righty. Now we transition into a segment called Recap Rewind, where we give you a recap of the movie in our own words, because we're dumb and we like to torture ourselves sometimes. This duty was given to Tristan, and I'm gonna warn you guys. This is a long ass movie.
Yeah.
And while the recap won't be just as long, it also means it was really hard to do, because even while Tristan was writing it, I was trying to remember what happened in the movie, and I kept getting Fallout mixed into Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
Which I think that's something we need to talk about. But with that said, Tristan, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Mission Impossible 1 introduced Ethan Hunt, who goes rogue to prevent another rogue agent from releasing the identities and aliases of other agents. Mission Impossible 2 follows Ethan Hunt as he attempts to thwart a rogue IMF agent and his plans to release a deadly plague. Mission Impossible 3 showed Ethan Hunt going rogue to stop another rogue IMF agent from doing something that we'll never truly know. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol follows Ethan Hunt as he goes rogue after the entire IMF is disavowed due to the actions of a well-trained scientist who plans to use nuclear weapons to cause global destruction. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation follows Ethan Hunt as he goes rogue to take down an entire rogue ghost agency, preventing them from acquiring funds and wreaking havoc on the world. Mission Impossible Fallout follows Ethan Hunt as he confronts the aftermath of his previous mission and races to thwart a rogue agent's plans to detonate nuclear bombs, which would result in global catastrophe. To quote the latest installment, "Our lives are the sum of our choices, and we cannot escape the past." This line is spoken by no other than Kittredge. You know, the same Kittredge from the first Mission Impossible movie, from Ethan's past. That's what Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Redacted is. That redacted is because it used to be part 1 and now it's not part 1. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's the incomplete sum of Ethan Hunt's saga, in which Ethan Hunt goes rogue to face his past and the future by stopping a rogue agent who happens to be an AI built by the U.S. government, who the director of national intelligence supervised the creation and deployment. Spoilers.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
The movie starts with a Russian submarine testing its new stealth technology. A glitch in the system makes the Russians think that an American submarine has launched a torpedo at them. However, upon impact, nothing happens. Unfortunately, their own torpedo ends up circling back and exploding on impact, killing everyone on board. Cut to Ethan after swapping code phrases that conveniently expressed Ethan's inner struggles. He receives a mission briefing from Kittredge, who is now the director of the CIA. It's unclear why the director of the CIA is sending this message, and at this point, it seems like nobody really cares. However, what's important is that Kittredge is being extremely personal, reminding Ethan of his past before joining the IMF, a past that seems unrelated to the mission at hand. Kittredge probably knows that it does connect to Ethan's past, but isn't going to tell him how or why mentioning this is important, other than getting under Ethan's skin. To add more conflict of interest, Ethan is tasked with retrieving a piece of a key from his sort of girlfriend, Ilsa Faust, somewhere in the desert, and he has to do it before bounty hunters do. Back in D.C., a room of government officials is briefing the director of national intelligence, Carrie Ellis, about an AI known as the Entity. This AI was responsible for the glitch on the Russian sub and is considered highly dangerous as it can infiltrate any database and execute multiple tasks simultaneously. That's really funny. Hold on a second. I did use Grammarly to correct some things, and it added the can execute multiple tasks. So AI told me that it can do multiple things simultaneously, and I didn't catch it.
Oh no. This is why you gotta proofread.
Stinking AI.
Stinking AI.
I missed that one. All right, a little bit behind the curtain. Making it unstoppable. The officials have identified key pieces that that are somehow connected to the entity. And whoever controls these keys, or this key, controls the truth. The US government is determined to obtain the key. Since his mission to retrieve the key, nobody has heard from Ethan until today, when a person in the room releases knockout gas, rendering everyone unconscious except for himself and Kittredge. The man removes his mask, revealing himself to be Ethan Hunt.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ethan informs Kittredge that he intends to eliminate the entity upon finding it because he believes no one should possess such power, making him a rogue agent of his nation. In Abu Dhabi... Again. In Abu Dhabi, Ethan, Luther, and Benji plan to intercept what they believe is the other half of the key. However, CIA agents are closely following them, aiming to retrieve the key for the U.S. government and stop Ethan. While Ethan is following his target, a pickpocket named Grace, Hayley Atwell, snatches the key before he can. Ethan confronts her, insists that she return it so he can trace it back to someone who understands its significance. However, the owner of the key dies before Grace can hand it back, or sneak it back. And the CIA is closing in as Ethan tries to figure out his next move. He then spots the reflection of a familiar face from his past before it disappears. Meanwhile, Benji and Luther come across a suspicious bag that appears to be containing a nuclear bomb. To disarm the bomb, Benji has to solve a series of riddles and answer personal questions, realizing that the bomb is linked to the artificial intelligence and it is studying him. After successfully disarming the bomb, they discover it's empty. Ethan orders everyone to abort the mission, but Grace stealthily takes the key from him without his knowledge and boards a flight to Rome. In Rome, Grace is taken into custody by local police. Ethan arrives with the intention to retrieve the key and help her escape from the people who are now following her. This leads to an obligatory car chase with Ethan and the Rome police chasing Grace, the CIA chasing Ethan, and an unknown woman chasing both Ethan and Grace. This woman is called Paris and is played by Klementieff. While an interesting character, she is primarily a henchman with a little impact on the greater story. I do hope to see more of her in the next movie, but she's not going to show up anymore in this recap. Ethan and Grace end up being handcuffed together, leading to some comical complications. They then drive a small yellow modified Fiat, which is apparently an IMF vehicle. There are tiny car hijinks that follow that are entertaining to watch, but a little out of place in a Mission Impossible movie. Ethan and Grace manage to escape their pursuers, only for Ethan to once again elude Ethan. For Grace to once again elude Ethan. There are so many...
The movie is that complicated.
After reuniting, Ethan, Luther, Benji, and Elsa realize that the man Ethan saw at the airport, Gabriel, Esai Morales, works for the entity and has connection to Ethan's past. They also discover that Grace is planning to meet whoever hired her at a large party in Venice, hosted by the White Widow, who possesses the other half of the key. Ethan and Elsa ride a gondola through a canal to get to the Venice venue. It isn't very often that we see gondoliering in a movie. So let's take a moment to appreciate that a man like Tom Cruise, who likes stunts and action to be as authentic as possible, made sure to include what appears to be proper gondoliering technique. In most movies where gondolas appear, they're obviously on a track and the gondolier technique is atrocious. Heck, most illustrations of gondoliers are highly inaccurate. They have to put...
I didn't know this. Oh, yeah. Right. Hold on.
They may have put these gondolas on a track, or they may have been pulled by a lead boat just to control the speed. But the rowing technique seems real. And as a former gondolier...
I was about to say, are you an expert?
This attention to detail. Yes. I was a gondolier.
I am an expert.
At the party, Gabriel appears and reveals that the entity has planned the event and intends to acquire both pieces of the key the following day, and he expects the drop-off to take place on the Orient Express. And it must happen with one additional condition, that either Ilsa or Grace die. Ethan runs and punches his way through the streets of Venice to try to protect Grace, but encounters obstacles set up by the entity. Unfortunately, he arrives too late and finds Ilsa fatally wounded by Gabriel. Following the tragedy, the team devises a plan to have Grace pose as the White Widow to prevent Gabriel from obtaining the key and gather crucial information. In a final grand allusion to the very first Mission Impossible movie, Ethan, Kittredge, and Max's daughter all converge on a train, ultimately leading to Ethan fighting a bad guy on top of the train. But this time, there's no helicopter. With Grace's assistance, Ethan managed to thwart the villain's plans and prevent the train from plummeting off a destroyed bridge. Ethan then escapes with the completed key, leaving Grace behind to inform Kittredge of her decision to join the IMF. That's it, but there are a lot of things that I didn't mention.
Yeah, that's also slight correction.
What did I get wrong?
There was a helicopter.
Was there a helicopter?
It dropped off. What's his face? He was dropped off by a helicopter.
Whomst?
Oh wait, no. No. He was just in the room.
He was in the sarcophagus.
That's right. Dropped off by a helicopter.
Paris jumps on from the bridge for some reason. That is also like, why didn't Ethan just jump on from a bridge?
You know.
And then Ethan has to jump off of a mountain to then parachute down. They really forced that stunt.
This movie is such a blur. And I think you just tapped into why it's kind of a blur, and I didn't realize it until you just said that. There is so much stunt setup that they had to spend so much time setting up that stunt, and it really didn't do like a whole lot.
Yeah, it felt like they, in other movies, they have stunts that happen, and it's just like, we have to do this stunt to get to the next part of our mission. This one felt like, we need to make a really cool stunt happen. So how do we make obstacles that lead?
We also need to build a lot of tension into this moment because, I don't know, if we climax too quickly, people will think we're inexperienced or something. I don't know what the purpose is. That's a weird joke that I just made, but there's a little bit of like, there was like 20 minutes of movie that could have just gone away, and I feel like they could have still hit the points that they were trying to hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand why. So with that, what did I think of the movie overall?
With that, I didn't even mention that there's like the whole, like the CIA set up a bunch of stuff to be able to get Ethan to get the key to get the thing, and they hired the bounty hunters to kill Ilsa, but he told Ethan so Ethan would get to her before, and blah 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 blah.
It felt
so it's like just everybody's doing everything.
It felt like they got really good notes on Fallout about all the double crossing, and then they were like, okay, but what if we doubled the amount of double crossing we had?
What if we had quadruple crossing?
Yeah. What if we had what's the thing they used to? I feel like conspiracy theory. 5D chess.
Oh yeah, 4D chess or 4D whatever.
Chess. And the whole movie just feels kind of like that. Now, with that said, overall, I think the movie's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It has lulls that really get undercut when you realize why it's lulling. The whole train, the whole thing about the train, it's lulled because they're trying to build to that stunt.
Yeah.
It also, maybe I'm wrong about this, but it also feels like there's moments where time just doesn't matter. If you get what I mean, where you see a situation, you're like, it wouldn't have taken that long. There's no way it would have taken that long, but somehow it is.
Yeah. Part of me feels, I mean, some of this movie just feels like I said, it's incomplete. It's the incomplete story because it's a part one instead of being a part all. So we have to wait, even though they've removed the part one from the title, it's still only half of the story. And so in some ways, I feel like they probably could have told the full story because they've been telling the full story many times.
Is it just me, or did this movie have like an ungodly amount of exposition?
Oh, yeah. Number one note. Everything and nothing happens, and the things that do happen is just exposition. It is a movie that is fully exposition so that we can watch a second movie.
Yeah, which like this feels like a bad way of writing movies. Do I not like this movie?
It's interesting. The thing is, it's interesting. The concept is really interesting. The whole thing is like, okay, like this is working on a fear that is culturally relevant right now, they were writing this before it was even as relevant as it is. By the time it came out, it was like, oh, this is extremely relevant.
Conceptually, it is fantastic. Like it is a really great idea. How do we actually, no pun intended, reckon with the idea of AI? Not just AI, but they really brought an interesting question of what if AI gets into the most sophisticated aspects of weaponry for the military. Mm-hmm. That's terrifying. Yeah. Like that is a terrifying concept. And they pose the question, and they start to show whether it's a viable option or not. But in this movie world, a circumstance where the AI goes rogue.
Yeah.
What do we do? And, one thing that was part of this movie, we're just going to, this is the last one for a couple weeks, so forget norms. We have the AI, and then, like, they write it in a way that it feels like they're trying to keep that theme of Ethan being like a saint, like being this righteous guy, but they go out of their way to make the government awful.
Oh yeah.
Like
everybody's a bad guy in this movie.
I know that there are people with bad politics, and I know that there are selfish people who are politicians who make bad choices for the sake of their own benefit. I know that exists. But the outcome of this movie where you have, so why wasn't he in top billing? I feel like he's a top bill kind of guy, but Carrie Ills.
Yeah. Wesley,
thank you. He was the director of military. What was he?
National Intelligence.
So is that a real position? Is he's supposed to be like a Pentagon? Pentagon. Oh my God, Pentagon person, right? State Department. Is that State Department?
I guess.
Or defense? I don't know.
I don't know if that's a made up one or not.
I assume his job is that he is the bureaucrat above all the directors of each of the 3-letter organizations. So FBI, CIA, IMF. Well, he's not above IMF because IMF goes directly to the president. Oh, is that how they?
That's what they said in this one.
Interesting. Do you think? Oh,
yeah, because when they're briefing him,
do you think he was honest?
You're right. What?
Do you think he was telling the truth? Because we learn at the end that he was double crossing everyone. So do you think he actually didn't know that the IMF existed? Because all the other directors did.
You know, so this was one of my things that like kind of didn't make sense of, is he new or like what, how does he play into this? And then Kittredge obviously knows because he was part of IMF. And the CIA has been highly involved with IMF in the last couple of movies. So for him to be like, hey, I'm aware of this and I'm aware specifically of this guy. But if national intelligence is like the highest up with IMF does their own thing, but like CIA, FBI all talk to the national intelligence guy. Like they're briefing him on stuff that I feel like he should already know. Like, is he new to this job? I don't know. It felt weird that.
I think they were just showing like a briefing meeting where the heads of these places are giving all the intel they have on specific things. But you're right. He did seem very not knowledgeable.
Yeah, he wasn't, he was like, you're telling me that blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I don't think he knew about IMF because even Kittredge was being like, that's classified. Like, I can't even tell you who this person is. And he's like, what do you mean you can't tell me? He's like, well, they report directly to the president.
But why would the chain of command didn't make any sense in this movie?
It's very confusing. Yeah.
Because Kittredge is not the secretary of IMF.
No, he's
the director of CIA. And then that brought a question. Is he the director of CIA the whole time? No, because Angela Bassett was CIA.
She was the director of CIA. And then Alec Baldwin was director of CIA before he became the secretary.
And why in God's name would they hire Kittredge? He has a very sullied past.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Where's Anthony Hopkins when you need him, you know?
I mean, he would have fit perfectly in the fact that in the movie that he was in, he was like, hey, you should bring us this plague thing so that we can use it as the U.S. government. And then in this one, they're like, hey, we want to have the bad thing for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I feel like they took a lot of themes from all of the other movies and combined them into this one.
We are not staying on task at all, but this is very interesting to me. Do you think they were thinking that as they were writing it?
I think so.
Do you think Tom Cruise was like, hey, this is my last go at this. Let us connect everything.
Yeah. I think at the time of when they were writing it and making it, the plan was this part 1 and part 2 will be the end of the Ethan Hunt saga, and we will introduce characters who could carry the torch beyond. So it's not the end of Mission Impossible, but it's the end of Mission Impossible as we have known it over the last 20 years. However, I think after they released this one, they're like, no. Tom Cruise is still in. Ethan Hunt is going to still be around. So I think they wrote what was intended to be a goodbye to his character. And then he was like, I don't want to leave yet. Actually, I'm going to do this until I die. So,
which he very may well. do. That was a. What did I just say? Anyway, yeah, that is an interesting thing to think about. It because it didn't feel like a goodbye. At least to me, it didn't feel like a goodbye. But it did feel as though it was trying to pad the world building a little bit of giving us more details of how the IMF came to be. Where I will say what's it called when a later movie when they're retconning. They're retconning the movie a little bit because in the third movie, Benji's like an analyst or a tech guy.
Yeah, he's a lab tech.
But in this one, they're saying he was in something deep, and they pulled him out of that. But so that whole office of people in the third one, where they're at the end of the movie, where they're like, yeah, it's like a Mentos commercial.
Yeah.
All those people were criminals at some point or on the verge of criminality, and they got stopped and given a choice. Like that doesn't, it builds drama and it gives Hayley Atwell's character, something to like feel a belonging to. But in the scope of what we've already seen, it's like, you can say that for Ethan and maybe even Luther, because we do know that Luther has had some issues. But like Benji looked like he, got hired, was doing computer stuff and was like, you know what? I want to be a field officer. And went through the process.
Yeah. I mean, he may have still been asked if he wanted to make the choice.
Right. But I feel like he said it
different
in a way.
Because he started in the lab.
Right.
And then moved to an agent.
Which is so
and it
funny.
Feels like, yeah.
They're like, hey, we saw you hacking. You want to be a computer guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got lots of computers. It just, I don't know. There were so many little things that were trying to be world building. And I know there's a second one, but it was so lackluster with Ethan and Mariela, who has top billing, but is dead. Like, we see her dead. That's what we see.
Yeah.
And whatever was happening there. And then what was Esai's, is that how you say it? What was his character's name?
Gabriel.
His whole thing, am I wrong in saying that he's just like, and I looked it up so I'm not just randomly throwing something, he's Puerto Rican. Is he just like a Puerto Rican Henry, or oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name, the guy who played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ? Jim Caviezel. Jim Caviezel. Yeah. Is he just like a Puerto Rican Jim Caviezel?
Is he?
He has a weird, and it's not weird because I'm sure if you interview him, it's very normal. Jim Caviezel is not. Jim Caviezel is a lunatic, but I'm going to call him Mr. Morales. Gabriel's, his timing, even his tone, and I know that that's partially why he got cast, because when he speaks in that tone and his tempo and everything, it's very unsettling.
Yeah.
He's very uneasy, but it's weird to think that he's threatening too. They did a good job with the Ilsa fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked like a fight. It looked like a really good fight, and it looked like either one could have won, but he won. Man, I wrote in my notes, when Ilsa got shot, and I wrote, unceremonious death for Ilsa.
Yeah.
And then they show her that it was all a trick. And I was like, never mind. And then she actually died. And I'm like, oh, never mind. Never mind.
It's unceremonious.
Which it was. I don't know if I like how they did that or that it happened. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with the choice, simply because it's not so much that they just killed a character who has been really fun the last two movies. Mm-hmm. It's that they work, and I would say a little forced, to finally make do on this relationship that there has been little hints of.
Mm-hmm.
But even as we're building into this story, Ilsa and Ethan were not seeing each other. She was in the shadows and then got back into, the business. And then he saved her, and then she came back again.
Yeah.
And they build this relationship where they're like, oh, lovey-dovey, they love each other, or whatever they were trying to do. And, I don't... I may have missed it. There's no kissing scene between them. They just have that moment on the gondola where they kind of like hold hands and kind of go like, I think she
hugs him on the roof.
Which, in certain circles, that's just as bad as kissing. Particularly...
Specifically on the roof.
Yeah, junior hires. It's the same thing to them. That's not true. I don't know junior hires nowadays. And so you have this relationship build, and I think I know why I don't like it. So we have this little hint of light of like, Ethan could be happy, and he could be happy with someone who understands the risk of an agent. Ilse is coming into this knowing and willing and like, I understand the risk. With Julia, it was different because she didn't know.
Right.
She couldn't accept the call, the IMF call. Ilse can, and she apparently keeps doing it because she keeps coming back into, the crosshairs of all of these really dangerous people.
Right.
So you have someone who understands the sacrifice and the risk, and there's this moment of like, Ethan could be happy. And then she dies. And then they just get another white British lady to fill the void of his heart.
Yeah.
And he says that cheesy line of like, no matter what, your life will be more important than mine, which, I mean, in the moment, good, but in the context of everything we're talking about, it's like, I don't think you've processed the grieving that you felt for Ilsa.
Yeah.
Or did you grieve? Because as a movie, we haven't really been presented with you fully grieving about this.
Yeah, he stands on the roof and goes for like a moment.
Yeah, and then, Luther gives him that talk of like, Gabriel, maybe with my voice I can actually like, Gabriel's got it. I made it a little too
you went
Texas.
A little Sam Elliott there.
Oh, that was a few movies ago. Anyway, my wife is getting herself food. Hey, Krista, remember when you did this podcast?
I do. You want me to guess?
I'm the new Krista. I'm your wife.
Tristan's the new Krista. He's my wife now.
Tristan's probably a better wife than
No,
I was.
Tristan's okay.
Better podcaster.
Yeah, he's a better podcaster. Well,
Do you want me to make a guess?
Debatable.
debatable. It is debatable. Not you. I have headphones in. He can't hear you. I can't hear.
Tristan, I like you more than Mike in the podcast.
Well, that was rude. I'm gonna put guest star and Krista just so people listen and be like, wait, that's it.
Just a tiny voice in the distance.
And so, man, you made me lose my groove. I really had a good thought too, but I don't like. Oh, so Luther says his, you can't kill Gabriel, and then on the top of the train, honestly, too many people standing on top of trains and being able to stand without real, like, he was pointing a gun, the other guy was pointing a gun.
Yeah.
Ethan was about to stab a guy, and I'm like, can that happen on a train? Can you really do that? That train's going fast. It's going faster than it's supposed to. Can you really do that? I feel like
Stay
all of you would be
tuned for
falling off.
our first video where we will go stand on top of a moving train, moving at high speeds. That sounds like a good introduction into making videos, right?
I think we need to call Adam Savage and be like, can you guys bring back Mythbusters just to see if this is possible? Because I feel like this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
So he's trying to kill him and everything, but there's no real motivation in it. He doesn't bring up Ilsa. He doesn't think Ilsa. He doesn't really feel that connection. So we get this death that is supposed to be like a pivot point. And we've seen Ethan go Superman, Henry Cavill aside, when people have died.
Right.
We've seen him get angry and go above and beyond and do all that stuff. But this one was, we build you a character, we build you a partner, we build you someone who you can genuinely fall for. Oh, we kill her before that can happen. We replace her immediately. And then you don't really do anything after the fact.
Yeah.
Also, Rebecca Ferguson really just didn't have that many lines in this movie.
No, I was waiting to say that. She only said like maybe a dozen lines. Like, she's every scene that she's in, she doesn't say anything until they are in Italy. And then once they're in Italy, she like says, like, her first line is basically saying like, oh yeah, that's Gabriel. And everybody's like, how do you know who Gabriel is? And she's like, oh, I have my ways.
Right.
And then like that's all she says, and then she doesn't say anything during the whole like party scene.
Right. Which
and
there are a lot of characters in that scene.
There's so many characters in that scene. Yeah.
That scene is
and then
really confusing.
She doesn't say anything when she's fighting. Like, she doesn't even get final words with Ethan. She doesn't get like her dying words. So I don't know. My only guess is that maybe there was conflict with her schedule.
It had to have been a contract thing
of like Dune or something.
Oh yeah,
because she had like no lines, and like maybe their contract was like that she could be in it, but she couldn't say anything because they have to pay her more.
We're just doing union minimum,
Yeah, I have no idea, but like her character seems so underused in this one. They put her in to have the emotional contract with the audience, but they didn't fulfill on that because she dies and then we get nothing from it. She doesn't say anything the whole time.
Right.
There's no conclusion to her as a character. And yes, they needed to kill someone to make it feel like there were actual stakes.
Right.
Which is great. But the way that they did it is just like, I think they didn't do it well. And also I just liked Ilsa, and I'm sad that they killed her.
And I like Ilsa more than Hayley Atwell's character.
Yeah, she felt like a good, like
when she's used properly.
When she's used properly, she feels like a really great like foil to Ethan. But and I don't know, like, I don't know if Hayley Atwell's character is going to be a romantic thing. I think she might just become an agent.
Right.
But going back to my comment of it feels a little bit like it could be a finale for Ethan. I don't feel like it's totally a goodbye. Like you were saying, you didn't feel like it was a goodbye, but I feel like they set it up so that if they could say goodbye to Ethan's character, because they're doing all of this, like, hey, we're finally getting origins for Ethan that we've never talked about before, and everything's connected to all of these previous movies, and like we're connecting it back to the first movie because Kittredge is back. There's a lot of this, we're connecting it back, closing up the loose ends kind of thing, and then they're bringing in Grace, who at the end they're like teaching. Well, the movie begins with a brand new agent delivering the message to Ethan, and Ethan is like kind of teaching him, like, this is what you're supposed to do. Give me the code, give me the thing, and then he says, welcome to the IMF. And then we have the whole spiel about like, you're going to be given a choice. We're given the choice.
Right.
And so, and it ends with her saying, Ethan said that you would give me a choice and I choose to accept it. Like there's this whole thing. And then there's also these other characters where it's like, okay, is Paris, who isn't dead, like, could she potentially become an IMF agent? Because
are they leading into Guardians of the Mission Impossible?
Right.
Chris Pratt is the new Ethan. That would be awful. That would be so bad.
And then the CIA partner who's questioning the main guy the whole time, like he seems like he could be an easy, like, because the whole time he's like, but what if Ethan's right? He's gone rogue all these times, but what if it's because he was right? And they're like, that's an easy character to be like, I'm joining the IMF. And then in the next one, Ethan has a team of all these new characters who we've seen in the last one. Anyway, there's just things that seem like they're setting up a lot.
It feels like they're picking up on setting up a new IMF. I get that.
Yeah.
What's his name? Man, I should have looked this stuff up, but we wouldn't be a professional podcast if I did. Shea Wingham, he played Briggs. He played was he CIA or FBI? The agent who was after, the main agent who was after Ethan.
I'm going to say they're CIA because they were international FBI's.
Oh yeah, he knew Kittredge. He knew Kittredge, so
yeah.
He is the FBI only national?
Yeah, FBI is national and CIA is international.
Well, my goodness, I didn't know that. Anyway, Briggs, he always plays like the same guy. He's in the Fast and Furious series, and he plays a FBI agent who is just pissed at another agent who then ends up chasing him and then eventually is like won over by that agent. And now he's an agent who's pissed off at another agent chasing him down. And then at the end of the film, we're kind of like, he gets it. He understands. And he says that snarky thing to Kittredge. And I'm like, man, they are typecasting the hell out of you, dude.
Yeah, that guy does one thing.
And he does it really good because he just feels like a really pissed off agent. And you're like, I believe it. I believe this man. The Degas? The other agent.
Yeah.
His little speech at the bar where he says, like, but what if he's right? Like, what if he like, I get it. I just don't know how you got there. Because he's always a step behind. They're always a step behind Ethan.
Right.
So that speech makes no sense being that far behind.
Yeah, it makes sense from the audience. Because when I was watching it, he's like, Ethan's like he always goes rogue and he always like he blah 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 blah. And I out loud said, but he's always been right.
Right.
And then right after I said that, Degas says it, and I'm like, okay, so they're doing that for the audience's sake.
Right.
He's like, but he's right. So they were giving voice to the audience, but it doesn't make sense.
Supposed to be the audience?
Maybe.
It's such a weird little thing. There's so many characters in this movie that are just odd. And I don't know if it's like a negative. The White Widow, I hate her in this movie. I liked her in the previous one. She is a pain in the butt. Nothing, her motivation, nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
Considering she seems to get the gravity of the situation, but somehow she knows that the CIA is like putting all this together, and that Kittredge she knows that he's the meat.
Yeah.
But yet she's acting as though everything that Ethan's talking about is either not true or not important. And I'm like, you have all the pieces. You could put this together. Why are you making this choice? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't like her this time around.
Yeah. I think in some ways especially around her character and everything, in the last movie, it was like, wait, why is all this happening? And we had our whole like trying to figure that out. I think in this one they did a better job of, and maybe I'm just not thinking of it, but I think the like who's working for who and how they're doing it, I think all of that makes a little bit more sense. Like the reasonings for doing everything. Like there's not a moment of why are the people who are doing the trade also hiring the people to do the kidnapping who are also hiring, like it's all the same people doing it. Like this one felt like she's still working for the CIA, and so like she's acting kind of weird, but her being like, I'm going to go to the train to make the drop to the CIA because that's what I do. She technically doesn't know who Ethan is. Like she still thinks, she doesn't know like if he's an agent or who. She still calls him Lark, even though she knows he's not Lark, but she doesn't know what that means. So she doesn't necessarily have a reason to trust.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because the revelations that we find at the end of the last movie,
Ethan knows that she's working. Yeah.
It doesn't infer that she knew all the happenings.
Yeah.
She just got Solomon and knew she had to take him somewhere. That's really all she got.
Yeah. And speaking of the White Widow, did Zola's accent change in this movie? Because I think in the last movie, in Fallout, he had a European accent of sorts. And in this one, he sounded very British. He didn't have that many lines, but
you know,
I think his accent changed.
I don't know.
I don't know if his accent changed or if he just didn't say enough for me to notice.
In the previous film, he did feel like he was from like Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe.
Eastern Europe. This one, he
sounded British.
He just looks like Gronk, the Patriots guy.
Uh-huh.
So I just, every time I see him, also, I just didn't, everything he was involved with, I'm like, I don't care. So maybe I didn't hear it because I just didn't pay attention to it. Maybe, off the top of my head, I can't remember. Kittredge still sucks. I still hate him.
Yeah.
It's still awful. I don't understand how he gets away with everything. Like, it really doesn't make any sense to me how he just keeps getting away with everything he does. Because clearly he's using the CIA to achieve his own understanding and his own goal of being in control.
Yeah.
And then Wesley was doing the same thing, just with Gabriel and not with the White Widow or with the key. I don't know. It just, there's lots of aspects of this, and partially it is to do with the fact that it is setting up for a sequel, not that it is quote unquote incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
It's incomplete on purpose.
Yeah.
So there's that.
For sure.
Anything else you didn't like about the
I thought the mission briefing was way too personal at the beginning. And it's only for the sake of basically foreshadowing what the rest of the movie. But like that briefing doesn't make any sense, and it really bothered me.
Because Kittredge read it, right?
Yeah, it's from Kittredge.
I think his relationship with Ethan like doesn't make any sense, in the sense of how he's still using. One, there's no secretary. Two, there's no Jeremy Renner.
Mm-hmm.
And yet somehow the CIA director is giving missions, and then he's just like a total douche about it. Like, yeah. I don't understand how this system works anymore, because when the movies first started, they tried to use that like generic Mission Impossible voice. Not generic, it belonged to someone, but the voice that they used for the missions, mm-hmm. whoever was giving the missions, like the Charlie from Charlie's Angels.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be that voice, and then it turned into the director or whoever it was, and now it's just the CIA director. Like, who's in charge of disseminating that information? Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They just added so much that just, I think, made me ask more questions than had questions answered.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's a great thing for a movie.
Yeah. And again, I think it's because it's a part one. They're going to
I think
they set up all of these questions so that we can come back for part two.
So many questions, though.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot. I'm not a big fan of movies that are made to have a sequel.
Yeah, specifically to have a sequel.
Yeah, specifically to not finish the story. Like, I enjoy movies that have like there's a bigger story that's happening,
right?
But this movie as a standalone has a beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
But when it is, this movie is the beginning and the middle.
Right.
to set up the middle and end of the next one. But
I do like when a movie is made where you clearly understand, like, oh, this is a 4-hour movie, but they wanted to break it up.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm fine with that. There are some examples of that. Not always good. But we're all under we live in the world of the post-Marvel cinematic universe, where mm-hmm. whether we like it or not, they have, worked to sell the most movie tickets in the last 15 years. And they did a lot of unconventional things that we as the audience are now paying for, in the sense of, or I guess the movie industry is paying for, because now people are like, oh, those were the things that the audience liked. And in reality, it's like, no. We didn't. It wasn't necessarily that we liked it. That worked for that one thing. You don't have to do that for all of them. You know, Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War and all of that, that felt like if you watched it back to back, it is one succinct movie.
Right.
This movie is clearly made to set up the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't like it.
Yeah.
I know I'm answering a question later on, but I think I don't like it. I wasn't sure I felt this way. But now that we're really talking about it and talking into like, what does it feel like the goal of the writing is? And really, even though there's so much happening, if you really look at the important points, it really does feel like it's there to make the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there to tell one succinct story. It's there because we wrote the ending. We wrote the second movie first, and now we got to build it up. Yeah.
You have to come back to watch how this ends.
Right, which lame.
But I'll watch it still.
I'm going to watch the second one. It's going to be great.
I feel like there's too much. We kind of hit on this already, but there's too much like flashback and backstory that we have no connection to. So we don't care. Like his connection to Gabriel, we know that he has something, but we don't care about it. The one thing that we do care about is that Gabriel killed Ilsa, and that didn't feel like the motivation was strong enough in anybody's actions.
It should have been.
It should have been the thing.
And no one played it that way.
And then in the next one, they tell us like what that story is that happened, what their background is, and then we can be like, oh, okay, this is why he has a bigger problem with Gabriel. But I much prefer a flashback to something that actually happened than a prophetic vision.
Right.
But I still
they did lay off the prophetic visions, which I did appreciate.
Yeah. But it just felt like they're putting so much weight on this backstory that we have zero connection to. So I just don't care about it.
I think they did it in the wrong order. Now, that seems like a stupid thing to say, but hear me out. I would say what they should have done with the flashbacks is, because did you notice in the flashbacks that they just went to the same thing? Yeah. They went to the same thing. New. The first flashback, they should have had it as Ethan was remembering it. Like maybe have a nightmare scene like they did in the other one, but it was the flashback. And it was about the relationship he had with that woman. And then when he gets another flashback, we get the, Gabriel pointing the gun. And then when he sees Gabriel in the mirror, he can flash back to the actual point of the gunshot.
Yeah.
And then we get a little more from there.
Yeah. Or they could have done like before the fuse gets lit and we get the credit opening credits. Like there could have been like the whole opening scene
could have been the flash.
They could have done the submarine thing, and then they could have been like 30 years earlier or whatever.
You know what's funny? I was about to give them excuses of why they didn't do that. They spent $290 million or however much they spent on it. They could have afforded the aging process. Maybe skip out on the mountain scene and just focus on that. But, they're going to resolve that in the next one. And if they don't, then it's going to be a waste of time and egregious.
Yeah.
They have to have some kind of payoff for this Gabriel thing. And if they don't, it's all a waste of time. Yeah. It's all bad. And I just don't know if they have it in them to actually make something that will
I mean, they've
off.
got another 3 hours to fill. They better fill it with some backstory.
It's just going to be 3 hours of stunts.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to ride a motorcycle over the wings of a plane that's in the air, and he's going to like BMX jump.
Oh yeah.
And then like the wind will push him off, and then he's going to parachute into a rocket, which is going to send him to space. And then he'll be driving a car in space with Ludacris. Wait, that's a movie already. It's not Tom Cruise. Anything else you just... Do I not like this movie? I don't think I like this movie.
The voiceover at the end of the movie, which again is Kittredge, that bothers me too.
You know what bothers me more? The whole thing, in the sense of, do you remember Transformers?
Yeah.
Do you remember at the end where everything gets done and then you have like Optimus Prime and he's doing his little voiceover that's supposed to be real hopeful and real everything, and then you got Linkin Park playing it.
Yeah.
This ending of this movie was just missing Linkin Park.
Yeah. It
would have been the exact same thing.
It's weird because all of a sudden Kittredge, who has been this antagonistic force and who has been anti-Ethan Hunt, is all of a sudden like, Ethan, the world may not know it, but they're rooting for you. Or whatever it is.
The problem with that ending,
I don't know why I did the Optimus Prime voice for
because
that.
it fits. It fits. If you took all the scenes, I feel like we should do this. But if you took that ending scene and just put that Linkin Park song over it, it would be the exact same. It would have the same vibe. But what makes it egregious is there's no point. There's no turn in Kittredge. What motivation does Kittredge have to actually be rooting for Ethan?
Mm-hmm.
He gets whatever, you know, he essentially gets a real good gotcha moment from his agent, and then he doesn't get the key that he wants. And then we don't see him.
Yeah.
Oh, we see him like talking to Hayley Atwell's character, but that's really it. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why he would suddenly be like, "You're doing God's work." You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why he would have that mentality.
It feels like they switched from a character at the beginning. It's a character giving a mission.
Yes.
At the end, it feels like a narrator,
which it should have been Rebecca Ferguson. Take all that dialogue, but make it Rebecca Ferguson, who is just saying the thing that Ethan feels in his heart. Like, he's trying to build his own hope.
Yeah.
He's trying to do all this thing. Make it her.
Yeah. Okay, so I pulled it up here. I feel like we should just analyze it for a second.
Alrighty.
We cannot escape the past. Some of us are doomed to repeat it. Grace may believe you saved her from her fate, but you and I both know you merely bought her time. I'm somewhere in between Optimus and Kittredge. It's not working.
Yeah, you gotta give it, like, Kittredge has this little twang of Midwest in him.
Yeah,
you know?
I somehow found the in between, and it's bad. I
am Optimus Prime.
am Optimus Prime. Anyway, but
What
the pattern
is this friggin' podcast turned into?
but that's the pattern, isn't it? You cross a cross you've been left to bear. The closer someone gets to you, the harder it is to keep them alive. A new day brings a new burden. The key is only the beginning. Wherever it leads, wherever it takes you, whatever it takes to get there, you'll have to do it on your own. Should you fail in your mission, the entity wins. Gabriel wins. The world will pay the ultimate price. Should any members of your team get caught or killed, their sacrifice will have been in vain. So hurry. There isn't much time. The world doesn't know it, but they're counting on you. Good luck, Ethan.
Did that just create a plot hole?
I don't know, did it?
Did Kittredge know about Gabriel? Because he would have had the security tape that had him invisible.
Yeah.
There's no point that Gabriel reveals himself to Kittredge.
Right. But at the same time, Kittredge specifically references, not specifically, but like Kittredge keeps referencing that this, as if he knows Gabriel is connected.
I don't think the movie actually ever
connects
that.
It doesn't actually show it, but like in his opening mission briefing, he basically reminds Ethan of what brought him to the IMF, which suggests that he knows that Gabriel is involved somehow. In this, he says Gabriel's name, but it's also like, is it Kittredge that's actually saying this? Is it just a voiceover that happens to be Kittredge to allude back to the mission briefing?
But
it would make more sense if it was like Ethan hearing
but that doesn't work.
Ilsa's voice, but it's just weird.
It's Kittredge. It's supposed to be Kittredge because he said you and I both know.
I know, but it's just a weird how is
do you think Ethan
is
just
Kittredge
narrates
just thinking
the movie
this in his mind?
head?
I don't know why this
Ethan
exists
is insane. That's what we're figuring out
within the thing. Yeah. Anyway, back to whatever
Kittredge,
we're talking about.
Because one thing that bothered me in the beginning of the movie, which I guess was a setup for how bad the government was, but even Kittredge himself, the problem with the ending, I know I'm going on two different thoughts. The problem with the ending is that Kittredge is a fully involved party in the government's mishandling and misdoings. And the ending of the movie acts as though he's not.
It acts as if he's a good guy who's on Ethan's side.
But
he's like, I can't help you anymore.
Right.
You're on your own.
But there's nothing. There's nothing in the first movie and nothing in this movie that gives us any connection to that.
Yeah, you know who should have said it? Brant. We hear Brant's voice come in at the very end. We're like, Brant, where have you been this whole time? And he's like, hey, I'm still involved over here.
Right.
I see what you've done. And like, good luck.
Because even we both know that you've just bought her time is one of those understandings of like, we've both been in the bunkers. We know. And you bought her time, but he could have twisted it a little.
Luther could have said it.
Luther could have said it because he was. Luther, oh my gosh, Luther would have been the right one because he actually gave himself an out.
Yeah.
He could have said, I'm still working on this, so you were going to have to do this alone, which he already said, but he could have emphasized that more, and it would have worked. It should have been Luther.
Yeah.
I love when we rewrite movies. The other thing that Kittredge said that was really weird in the beginning when he was giving his mission is he kept saying, your government. I don't know why that line bugged the hell out of me. Your government has asked you. Your government. And it really felt as though he was showing his cards a little in the idea of the government wanted the key to get this weapon because they wanted to, like, your government wants to use it kind of thing. He just kept saying your government, and for whatever reason that kept rubbing me the wrong way.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're trying to do like, hey, you do this job because you work for the government. Right. And then Ethan is coming from the perspective of,
I do this job because it's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do, and my moral compass goes beyond my allegiance to
My government.
any government.
Yeah.
And so this movie wasn't about an IMF agent. This movie was about Ethan doing what's right above all else.
Right. Which is why they had to make the government so bad. Or to show it brushing against Ethan's view of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else you didn't like?
It
was really long. I didn't like that.
It was long. It was very long. What's his name? We talked about him already. Briggs was more of a nuisance than an interesting character. Like, even at the end where you feel like, oh, maybe he's coming around to see Ethan's side, he does all the things, but then he still just chases after Ethan and is like, Ethan! And like, he doesn't shoot at him, but he still like runs in and pushes rudely Grace like out of the way.
Yeah.
Because he's so focused on this one thing.
Oh yeah, that did happen at the end.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh yeah. That does kind of take away from the top of the train. That kind of undercuts all of that.
Yeah, there's this moment where you're like, oh, maybe they're working together. And he could have like come in and like held his gun and been like, Ethan, stop. And then Ethan jumps. And then instead of like running and pushing her out of the way, he could have just been standing there at the edge watching him go. And like, you could see the inner conflict of like, I have this job, but also he's doing the right thing.
Right.
But that we didn't get that. We just got a guy who has a brief moment of being like, oh yeah, I can do something different. And then his programming kicks back in and he's like, burp, 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 burp. Anyway, I think we've hit all of that on the head.
I think I don't like how Ethan. Gosh, what's her character's name? What's Hayley Atwell's character?
Grace.
I don't think I like how Ethan left her to Kittredge. I think they're going to explain that away, but I think given the context, Ethan really has no reason to trust Kittredge at all. There is not a friggin' reason.
Yeah.
And he just left this woman who is an international criminal to the hands of this man who has proven to be a kind of pissy old man who may be using the U.S. government as a front to achieve his own goals.
Yeah. Well, to me, Kittredge felt more of, we're going to use this for the U.S. government, where Carrie Ellis was more of, I'm going to use this for my own advantage, using the U.S. government.
This may be too bold. I don't see a difference in their motivations.
I think one was a man who is working for the negative aspects of the government, and another one is a man who is the negative aspect of the government.
I think here's where the differences, I think, really lie, is that one is using a tool to shape the government to his own beliefs, and the other one already understands that the government is what his beliefs are and doesn't care what the consequences are.
Yeah.
Because we know that, like, if a government, regardless of who the government is, got this thing, they would be the world's,
they can define what the truth is. Yeah.
They could define what the truth is. And Eul's character was basically saying, I want to define the truth my way. And Kittredge's character is, I believe the American government would define it the way I want it to be defined. So they're the same thing. It's just one feels they're already there, and the other one's like, well, we got a little further to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last thing I didn't like, some of the CGI sucked. Some of the CGI was real bad.
Yeah, I didn't notice it the first time I watched it.
Yeah,
but
I don't think I did either. But then watching it this time, it was like, ew.
Yeah, them in the train was like when the train was like hanging off the edge and they're like climbing up the train.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's very obvious. Like,
yeah, there were a couple other things that were, which is really funny because there is a great deal of practical effects, or at least really good stage design. The submarine looked great. The submarine looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But you know where a lot of the things looked really egregious was when there was something small that is just out of the ability of a human. Like grabbing something, flipping something, turning something that maybe didn't really need CGI, but they were like, well, if we do CGI, it'll maybe be a little faster and more achievable in certain aspects. When they connected that, like a lot of the car scenes, it was like, oh, that's some rough CGI.
yeah,
And you chose a small vehicle with very big windows where it's very obvious where the people are. There were a couple times where like Tom Cruise's hair just looked weird or looked fake. Sometimes where they superimposed his face onto a stunt double, it just looked weird. I don't know if they picked the wrong stunt double or if just when they were doing it, putting his face on, it just looked off. There is so much CGI and not all of it looks good. And when it doesn't look good, it's kind of obvious. Like it's kind of out there. I think the first time I watched it, I was so focused on what was going on with the plot and probably trying to wrap my mind around the AI aspect, which again, great concept. That I just wasn't locked in on the visuals, and now the plot seemed a little slower, and I was paying attention a lot more. Some of the visuals were like, oof.
yeah,
You guys could do better. Come on.
yeah, yeah. Okay, now that we've kind of been chaotically all over the place,
Yeah.
is there anything that you liked about this movie?
This is a really stupid thing, and it's product placement, and I hate capitalism and all that good stuff. Some of the cars were really cool. Like the car Benji was driving, and I was like, that's a cool car. You know, there's something about the wholesomeness of Luther that is really nice to watch. I really enjoyed Luther's character and how he was kind of, oddly enough, like the grandfather in the story, even though I don't think him, Ving Rhames, and Tom Cruise are that far in age.
Right.
He just had a really wholesome bit to him. I feel like he was talking a lot more and talking in a way that was, I know his job is the, whatever, the technical expert, but it feels like he had a lot of therapy. Like he was
Oh yeah,
he was very therapeutic throughout a lot of it.
that guy went to therapy and now he's like reusing that on his friends.
He's like, my therapist talked to me about this, and I think you could use this too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I enjoyed Luther.
Uh-huh.
I know there's more I enjoyed, but there was a lot that just was weird
Yeah.
that maybe it didn't stand out.
One of the things that I appreciated was the fact that they allowed Grace to actually not be okay with everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Like at one point he asks her, "Are you okay?" And she just looks at him and she's like, "No, I'm not." And then just her being uncertain the whole time is like, okay, this feels real. It doesn't feel like a character that all of a sudden is like, yeah, I'm in it. We're gonna do all this stuff. She's like, guys, what have I gotten myself into? So that felt good.
Yeah.
I also didn't feel like, and I'm just thinking about this now, I don't think that they had any gratuitous over sexualization of any of the women in this movie. Like, there were definitely some dudes who, like, they had to search the woman and they had this like gross smirk on their face, but like it didn't feel like that was a.
There was so much in this movie that I missed it. If it was there, was that in the? There was so much in this movie that I know what you're talking about, but my brain is like, was that in this movie?
Yeah, there's the dude who has to like pat down Paris.
That's right. The CIA.
And after he's done, he just has like this like look on his face of like, dude, you're gross. Get out of here.
And he's supposed to technically be a good guy.
Yeah.
I know he's working for the
bad guy
director, but he's supposed to be a good guy.
Yeah. I think the locations were fun in this one, like going to Venice, going to Rome.
We've been to Paris. Wait.
They had been to Paris before.
Right. And then they were in Venice.
They were in Venice in this one.
She said, "I've never been to Venice." And then he
said neither have I. And I was like, that's hard to believe. You've been doing this job for a long time, dude.
Yeah.
And then just a moment that I thought was interesting was the like traditionally in movie storytelling, you have the good guy who wears white and the bad guy who wears black. In the scene on the bridge where Gabriel and Ilsa are fighting, Ilsa's wearing all black, Gabriel's wearing white. And I think it's playing with the perspective of Gabriel is playing the role of, as they say in the movie, the messiah of the entity.
Right.
So he's playing this like the entity is all good and I am his mouthpiece. And so he's wearing all white. And I think they did that purposely to create an interesting contrast of the characters.
Have you ever seen the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves?
If I have, I don't remember it.
At the end of the movie, he has a little meet and greet with the big man downstairs, Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
And they have Lucifer wearing essentially a white suit.
Yeah.
Which I think is very interesting because you're right. We do have that cultural idea of like white means good and innocent, whatever it might be. And then black colors or dark colors means the opposite. But I feel like in some ways, when a bad guy wears white, it's a little reflective of like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, if I wear this, I am good. But in reality, I am saying the opposite of what's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a good touch. I didn't notice that, but that is an interesting move in the scope of what they're aiming to do.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's not really something that I like, and it's not something that I dislike because I can't tell if it's intentional or not.
Okay.
From a filmmaking perspective,
okay,
there is this rule where basically when you're filming a scene, you draw a line that is like, this is the plane that we are filming in. And the rule is like the 180-degree rule. You
Right.
don't cross that line with the camera. And the reason why you don't do that is because it changes the perspective of like who's on what side. So if someone's on the left and someone's on the right, and then you cross over that line, now the person who was once on the right is now on the left side of the camera. So it just kind of messes with like perspective of like where the action is moving and going.
Right.
A better example is if somebody is running left to right, but then the camera cuts to the other side, they're now moving right to left.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're going the wrong direction. There are times where this technique can be used really well. I remember one of them being in The Dark Knight when Batman is interrogating Joker. There's a really good use of breaking that rule. This movie breaks that rule a lot, but I can't tell if it's done purposely or not.
Right.
On the scene where they're fighting, like if it's being used purposely, I can see how it's like the whole idea of the movie is the fact that the AI can control what
the outcome is.
The outcome is. It can control what is true or not true, and it has the ability to create uncertainty in things.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, I can see how doing that technique can add to the uncertainty of what is happening, because like just that visual juxtaposition of like, oh, that why is things switching like that. There's also like the scene where they're fighting on the bridge right before Gabriel stabs her. He's on the left and stabbing her on the right, and then it cuts to the close-up of her where she's now on the left and he's on the right. And I think that one was just because like they needed to show her face, but in order to do that they had to like cut. And but it was like, it's just this minor thing that most people probably don't notice, but there was a lot of weird cuts, and not all of them were breaking this rule, but some of them were just like, that's a weird cut to cut to.
You know what? I did not notice, but now I always will.
You always will.
I'm going to look for it. There were also, I know this is not exactly the same, a lot more Dutch angles. A lot of Dutch angles.
Mm-hmm.
Which feels like a callback to the original one, which I don't know if they were doing that as a callback, but it just felt as though maybe what you're talking about has validity of, it isn't just so much that the AI can, I guess the algorithm can figure it out, but it feels as though the AI, the computer, has access to the internet, has access to everything.
Right.
And so it sees everything. And they're trying to almost give you that feeling of being watched.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, I feel like Dutch Angle gives it that vibe of, it's an unconventional angle to make you feel as though something else is seeing the situation, not just you, the audience, but something else is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did kind of enjoy that, but I don't know if it had any deeper meaning.
Yeah, sometimes they just do stuff because they can. Sometimes they use the camera to help tell the story, and sometimes it's just like a bad edit or a bad shot that they leave in. It's hard to tell.
And maybe it was something to do with the production timeline with COVID and everything, of maybe they had one editor and then they had to get another editor, or maybe in reshoots they had to do something or other.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing, but there, you know what? There are some moments where it does feel inconsistent, but not in a particularly bad way, but it does. Now thinking about it, there is certainly some validity in that.
Yeah.
Gosh, that motorcycle ride around the mountain was so long. Why did they do that? I don't know why I'm jumping back there.
It's all right. Did you have any favorite characters? I had one in particular that I'd like to talk about.
I like Paris.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think I like her because she doesn't fit any of the tropes from the previous movies.
Right.
So it's really interesting now that we're thinking about it. So we watched the first movie, and there was supposed to be a love triangle, but they're all agents. They're all people who agree to this kind of thing. Then we have the second one, where we have a new trope of a possible love interest, but she is a thief. And we brought that trope back.
Right.
And then the third one, we have a complete civilian and like the head of a multi-million-dollar criminal organization. Cool, those tropes. Fourth one, we got agents again. We don't really have like a civilian. We are kind of introduced to a, the assassin, but the assassin has more to do with the other agent, not really Ethan.
Right.
We continue on. We're back to all agents, but now we have a trope of like a different agency. And then that trope was repeated, but this time instead of a woman, we have Superman.
Yeah.
And now we're back here. We're touching on all the tropes again, but we have something new. We have she's not an assassin. She's essentially a henchman, but it feels like she's trying to prove something.
Yeah. She's crazy.
But like in everything she does, she's trying to prove something. And we haven't had a trope like this yet.
Right.
I can't think of anyone who fits this particular one. We do have agents who like hate Ethan, but she is kind of in her own world. I kind of like the idea of she just straight up isn't an English speaker. So it feels as though she's even more from a different place, trope-wise.
Right.
She's a good fighter, all of that stuff. She has a little bit of a change of heart toward the end. We see that she is very, not just tough, but resilient. She's very resilient. Mm-hmm. She survives a pretty terrible stab wound, all that stuff.
And getting her head smashed into a wall.
Oh, yeah. These people have so many concussions, and no one is talking about it. Stop investigating the NFL and investigate the IMF, because I guarantee all of these people look like a train wreck in their CAT scans. Yeah, I liked Paris. Everyone else, like I like Hayley Atwell, and I like how she acts, and I like how she portrays herself. I don't necessarily think I like Grace as a character. And there's a lot of characters I didn't like in this movie. And then they killed the one character I always really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Paris.
Great. Yeah, you basically hit most of the notes. Paris was my most favorite. I think Grace has potential to be really interesting, but
I don't know why. I don't know why I don't like her. I don't like her, and I don't know why.
I think she doesn't really, as a character, she doesn't bring anything into this. She's someone who is kind of forced into this situation.
But I don't like her because we feel like she's being forced in this situation, But then we also find out that she was paid to do all
She was paid to do it. Yeah. So it is interesting. I
don't trust her.
I have hope for her character to be better in the next one. There's
a possibility.
I think the majority of the reason why I like her is just because I like Hayley Atwell.
She's a great actor.
Yeah.
That's the thing that carries her. There's the way she's written in the little exposition about her motivations makes me question who she is. Hayley Atwell as an actor, great job. She did an awesome job through the whole movie.
They are purposely hiding something about her too, because even when Kittredge holds up her what appears to be her actual passport, his thumb is perfectly covering her name.
Oh,
except for like
notice that.
One letter.
Oh,
and so there does seem to be like I think there's going to be a reveal about her character. But who knows what that reveal is?
I hope it's a stretch. I hope it's just the worst stretch
She's Ethan's daughter.
She's Ilsa's sister, even though they worked together and never made any.
I think the last letter was. I think the letter that you could see was an F. What if she is a Faust? Mind blown. I don't even remember if that's the right letter or not, but I think it is.
Is that how you spell it? Alrighty.
Any okay, hold on. We got to talk about the one character.
Oh, who's the one character that will carry the ring?
Who will carry the ring? It's who I lovingly call Cup Guy. On the Russian submarine.
I noticed that too. I was like, wait, does that one dude have a guy that just is in charge of the cup?
The captain or whatever he is of the submarine. He's like doing his thing and then just holds out his cup of tea or coffee or whatever it was. And this one guy walks from like the side of the screen, grabs the thing,
yes,
walks to the back. And the thing is, we don't just see him like grab it and walk away. We watch him in multiple scenes. Like he grabs it, he goes back. A bunch of people are running in to go to their stations. He goes out the door. We see this guy. His only job
fully exit the room
is to be the cup guy. Like nobody goes back to wherever station he was at. Like that's his job is to be cup guy. What a
random character.
So that
was a little odd.
Yeah.
I did notice him, and the first thing I thought was, you can get a guy for that? Like, you can have a person who does that? I mean, I guess you should. Is he like a PA? Like, what?
Yeah.
What's his actual job title? But he died. Yeah. So
he died. So we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Favorite quotes I appreciated when Grace, disguised as White Widow, comes out of the room, and Zola's like, "You've changed," and her response was, "And you never will." And they just keep going. Like that's a good like.
The one line that I actually wrote down. That's a good line. Was when Gabriel threatened him at the party and essentially was like, if you do this, there's no place for you or your god to hide. And I was like, that's great. That's good. Yeah. That's a good line.
Yeah.
We didn't mention it before because I forgot about it in the moment. But one of the things, I don't know if I hate it or if I liked it or not. But when he came out of when Gabriel comes out of the sarcophagus and he essentially has like the AI VR.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel like we need some sort of explanation of what that was.
It's weird. It feels very comic book.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember it right now, but like since they did it in a movie finally, but in the Suicide Squad, there's the alien star that if it gets into your face, it creates its own world. And I'm like, is that an alien now? What are we doing? Is he getting fed information?
I really feel like that's something that they cut out of this movie, was explaining what that was.
How the AI actually interfaces with Gabriel.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like, is it remapping his mind, or I forget what movie it is. Now I can't remember what it is. But there's like a being who's trying to learn about the world, and they have something that shows them videos, and then their outcome was like, humans are this good and this good and this good, but they're also these horrible things. And I'm like, is he just brainwashing him? Which the AI is brainwashing him, but that just felt like one of those things where I'm like, I think this needed to be explained.
There's something, I appreciated some of the dialogue that happened of like, where you don't really have enough time to think about it. But after Ilsa dies, Grace says, I'm the reason she's dead. And Luther says, no, she's the reason you're alive. And then Grace says, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
And then Luther says, you probably never will.
Yeah.
Like that was like good, and like, oh, I got to think about that. But then they moved on like too fast from it. But it's like, oh.
Those are genuinely good lines. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them.
Grace saying, I'm going to need a few more details. And Benji saying, they tend to get in the way.
Yeah, that was Benji had a couple one-liners where it was like, that Benji.
Yeah.
I also there is an aspect, and it does have to do with his lines. There's an aspect of they made Benji less likable because for whatever reason, throughout this whole movie, he's just trying not to tell Ethan stuff. Like in the airport, he doesn't tell him about the bomb. During that whole mountain scene, he doesn't give him any detail. He just says, like,
right. That was
going.
He could have been like, Ethan, I'm going to take you, and it's going to be unconventional, but I know that you do things unconventionally anyway, so it shouldn't be a problem for you.
Right.
If he said that, it would have been fine.
Or if he would have said, look, I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have to drive up a mountain.
Yeah.
Then he would have been like, okay. And then he got to the top of it like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And then he could have done all the same stuff and it would have been fine. But he just kept not giving him information. And I'm like, wait, are we saying this guy who has done every insane action for the sake of entertainment or the safety of the world, one of the two, would just drive up a mountain and not really question it?
Yeah, it was that was silly.
Anyway.
And then also Benji just being like yelling and being like, I'm under a lot of pressure right now.
Right.
What? Okay, so here's something that I expected to happen that didn't happen. A product placement of the BMW, he puts on autopilot or whatever, and he gets into the passenger seat. I expected, because cars are connected to the internet.
Yeah, isn't that a plot hole?
That the entity would have taken over the car. And then if his argument was like, I'm trying to retake control of this car, I'm under a lot of pressure right now, that would have been fine.
It's not that big of a plot hole, or actually it makes plenty of sense because the entity wanted Ethan on that train.
Right.
So he's not going to stop Benji unless Benji actually did something of relevance that would have prevented Ethan or had gotten Ethan there sooner. But the algorithm figured it out. No, man. Don't you see it? I sound like Ethan. All right.
Algorithm. Okay.
Any other?
The only other one, it's not necessarily a favorite quote, but it was one that was like, that feels kind of on the nose. Is the phrase that he says at the beginning: "We live and die in the shadows for those we hold close and those we never meet."
Yeah,
it just feels like that's what Ethan lives by.
Yeah. Thank you for giving us some exposition or dialogue that actually helps us understand why Ethan does some of the stuff he does.
Yeah, why you are who you are.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You just look like a lunatic. Anyway, speaking of lunatics. Now it's time for the review rewind. I faded that too much. Dang it. Now it's time for the review rewind, where we look at a positive review and we look at a negative review and we see where we fall. I always say there's something difficult about this, but now that we're too closer to what we actually are. So this came out last year. So I was looking at the reviews, and 30 years ago, when you looked at the reviews, they were all newspapers. They were all reputable, quote unquote, sources for reviews. People who were like paid to do these movie reviews. Right. And now, even on Metacritic, there are a lot of like blogs. Like the worst review, I looked at it and then I was like, I've never heard of this publication before. And then I went on the website and it was like some like cheap ass website that just did not look good. And I was like, is this a blog? I don't think I'm going to use this. Not to say that a blog wouldn't be a good resource, just it felt wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so overall, well received. Metacritic, 81%. Rotten Tomatoes, 96%. Rotten Tomatoes audience, 94%. IMDb audience, 7.7%.
That's a really close score between
that's the first
critics
time,
and audience.
That's the first time it has been less than like 8, I think was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually I think it's the first one that the audience gave it that is above a 90. Everything else has been below 90.
Except over on IMDb, where people are solidly in agreement that all Mission Impossibles are a 7.
They're all pretty good with some flaws.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you read that first one?
All right, The Guardian gave it a 100. In the past, I have been agnostic and a naysayer about Mission Impossible, but the pure fun involved in this film, its silly, serious alchemy, and the way the franchise seems to strain at something crazily bigger with every film, as opposed to just winding down, is something to wonder at.
I would not characterize this movie as silly. The silliest part of this movie was the Fiat, which I think I even wrote in my notes. The Fiat was a funny touch, which is a weird sentence. Did I say that? Yeah, I did. I just mentioned that it was like, that's a moment. But yeah, that was the silliest scene. Which, in the context, I think did you say that where you said it was out of place in a...
It felt weird. Like, it's funny.
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say, because I didn't really think this before. It was not out of place for a Mission Impossible movie, but it was definitely out of place in this Mission Impossible movie, where the tone was not that at all. If this was 3 movies ago and they had that scene, it would have worked. It would have worked just fine.
I think they took the note from the previous one where they're like, "Oh, everything was too serious.
Yeah.
Let's try to add some humor back in."
But they
which this
really
movie
like
did.
localized it.
Yeah, I mean, it could have worked. I think what's strange about that and why it stands out to me is, like, one, we've never seen necessarily a specialized IMF car.
Yeah.
Except for, like, sometimes they're like, "Oh, you should see the car," and they have a cool car, but they don't have like a James Bond,
Right.
like a modified vehicle. So this one, for all of a sudden, for him to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go find a car for us," and he's tapping into the IMF database, which he shouldn't be doing because he's rogue, but he goes and finds a car, and then it's this tiny little car, and all of a sudden we get like,
I don't know. I'm just gonna say the writers don't understand what rogue means.
It was funny, but it felt out of place.
Yeah, agreed. But for the most part, the tone of this movie has no silliness to it. Like it's very serious.
Compared to the last one, it's got some more silliness than that one did. But
all right, I'm more stuck on it because they gave it 100.
Yeah.
Anyway, 63 from The Observer. This time around, super spy Ethan Hunt feels overshadowed by star and producer Tom Cruise in his own unquenchable desire to climb buildings, cling onto airplanes, and sprint across rooftops. It makes for a great theater-going experience, but not necessarily a great film. He didn't do any of those things in this movie.
He didn't do any of that. This one was pretty tame.
This is literally the movie before.
Yeah.
He climbed buildings, rooftops, and then he clung onto airplanes 2 movies ago. But that's a weird thing. Here's what I will say. I think there is validity in the idea that Ethan Hunt got overshadowed by Tom Cruise.
Yeah. For sure.
That is fine. How they said it is silly. I don't understand that. Also, something that stood out to me. This is the first one where Tom Cruise looks old.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's because they dyed his hair. Because they dyed his hair, he looks older.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, he had a bad haircut too.
Yeah. I feel like he had that haircut in number 3. It just didn't really work on him this time around.
Yeah. But I agree. Like,
right.
there's when he's like laying on his back at one point, and I think it's like, so also that's like looking at him, his face just looked like, oh, that's old face.
Yeah. Alrighty. What do you give it?
I think I'm going to stick to it, because even after all of the things that we've said, I think it's still enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as the previous couple, so
Right.
I give it a B minus.
I give it the same, actually. Like, there are a lot of aspects I don't like, but I think I'm just being nitpicky.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm judging it as a standalone movie when in fact it is not a standalone movie.
Yeah.
So I would give it a B minus. In the scope of it, I think it's way back and in the B's. I think Rogue Nation might be the best one.
Did we give Rogue Nation higher than
Fallout?
Fallout?
I don't know. I think as an overall movie experience, I like it more. Fallout gets too serious.
Yeah. I think those two are very close.
Yeah.
But like
this one is definitely behind those.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see how next year, next May, when part 2 comes out, which isn't a part 2, but when part 2 comes out,
we'll come back to it and we'll talk about it.
What,
We'll be
like how that's going to influence how I feel about this movie,
right?
Because then we will have a full story.
Agreed.
To compare.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stick with the B-. I think we have a few in the B slot. I'm gonna put this one behind them all.
Yeah. So we're at the end. Let's see if we can remember what we gave the other ones. At one point, I was keeping track of it, and then I forgot to keep track of it. But Mission Impossible 1, we gave it
a D.
Mission Impossible 2, we gave an F.
Yes.
Mission Impossible 3, we gave it a C or C plus.
It was really close to B, but I do think it was a C.
Ghost Protocol,
we gave it a C.
We gave it a C. It was just under.
It was behind number 3.
Rogue Nation
B
was a B. Fallout was a B.
B.
And then this one's a B minus.
Yeah. Which I would say probably Rogue Nation, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, as far as from best to worst in that small category. But yeah, we have done it.
We did it.
We've watched all the Mission Impossible movies, and our lives are worse for it. Overall, skip the first 2, watch number 3 on, maybe space them out. Don't watch them every week, don't
watch them back to back. Yeah. Give yourself some time.
They're not that good.
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and take the rest of August off, which really isn't that much. It's only probably like 2 weeks. And then we're going to come back, and I don't really know what we're going to do. I think we're just going to kind of jump around, but we're probably going to focus a little bit on the 80s and go from there. But we'll see. It can all change. We can say, hey, you know what?
We do what we want.
We do whatever we want. Maybe we should just start from the beginning of Will Smith's career and watch all of his movies. And then I will end the podcast because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's a suggestion I pretended to make. I'm going to get a text from you and be like, you said that as a joke, but it might be a good idea.
But let's do it. Yeah. If anybody out there has some good movie recommendations or some bad movie recommendations that they think we should watch.
We're honestly willing to watch either.
Send them our way.
There's some genres that I am kind of avoiding just because I don't really want to deal with it. But if you have a suggestion, you can send it over to
something.
Our Instagram. I was going to say an email, but I actually don't even know what the email is.
Yeah. Find us on Instagram.
You can find us on Instagram. Review Rewind. I think it's just Review Rewind. If you look up Review Rewind podcast, I think stuff pops up too.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Somebody tell us on TikTok how many times we said like in this episode.
And then I will give a prize to someone who can count all the times I muted my microphone because I had to relieve the congestion in my face. And once you do that, I will let you come up with a new saying. With that said, remember to review those rewinds, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.